Picture this, flood footage on TV. Water up to the windows, cars floating down the street like cardboard boxes, people waving from rooftops at helicopters. Close up on a trembling little girl clutching a cat carrier, scrolling text below. Urgent relief, every dollar counts. You've just poured yourself some tea, wanted a quiet evening, but your hand with the cup freezes midair. Before you even think, something inside already tugs. They've got it way worse than me right now. You switch channels, but it's the same story, just a shelter fire instead of a flood, a dog with a bandaged paw instead of a cat. The host speaks in that serious voice, logo of a well-known charity on screen, then an almost casual phrase. You can help by donating any amount to the details shown below. Nothing special, you've seen this 1,000 times. But today, scrolling past feels especially wrong. And at that exact moment, like clockwork, a message pops up from a friend. Forwarded post with the same photos and caption. We're already on the ground helping victims. Send what you can. You're sitting in your kitchen with your phone, facing a simple but uncomfortable fork in the road. If you hit send, instant relief. You did what you could. You helped. You didn't just walk away. If you close the message, your evening won't be so peaceful anymore. A nasty inner voice switches on. Look at you, too cheap to help when people are knee-deep in water. What's your excuse? Nobody's judging you out loud, but guilt lives inside, separate from logic, and loves waking up at the worst moment, when you're alone with your phone and your thoughts. Now imagine a couple weeks pass, the news cycle moves on, another disaster, another topic. And suddenly you stumble across an article. Police arrested a group collecting money for flood victims with zero connection to any legitimate charity. They lifted photos from old news footage, changed payment details every few days, amounts ranging from $10 to thousands. The text mentions familiar phrases, familiar images, and your stomach goes cold. You think you saw that message. You think you hit send too. The most painful part isn't even the money you sent. Sure, losing money hurts, especially if you don't have it to spare. But what cuts deeper is this. They scammed your best part. Not your greed, not some get-rich-quick impulse, not stupidity, your kindness. You didn't invest in mythical 300% returns. You didn't fall for a pyramid scheme. You just wanted someone on the other end of that screen to have it a little easier. And someone decided that was a perfect loophole, turning your compassion into their paycheck. Charity fraud is especially dangerous because at first glance, it looks almost flawless. Unlike crude bank security department calls, nobody's yelling, threatening, or demanding you name the SMS code right now. Instead, everything's soft and beautiful. Every dollar matters. Even a small donation is a big step. We're volunteers working for free. They're not selling you miracles or promising mountains of gold. They're talking to you like you're a good person who genuinely wants to help. And that's when critical thinking in most people goes to sleep. Your brain sees a child with an IV, sad dog eyes, a logo with a heart, and fills in the rest automatically. These schemes work especially well after major tragedies. The more emotion in the news, the easier it is to launch a fake fundraiser. Earthquake, armed conflict, major accident, mall fire. The information landscape turns into one continuous scream. Social media fills with posts. Here's the official fund. I already donated. Join in. This is definitely verified. In reality, verified often just means someone trustworthy forwarded it, and nobody asked follow-up questions. In an atmosphere of collective panic, personal common sense sounds quiet and uncertain, while the collective, we can't just sit here doing nothing, roars across every screen. There's also a quieter but equally dangerous variant, private stories like, a friend of a friend's child is seriously ill, let's help however we can. No federal news, no big logos, no official statements, just a personal page where photos of IV drips, injection bruises, pharmacy receipts appear daily, alongside long texts about how the system abandoned this family. In the comments, dozens of "Stay strong, we're with you," sent a little, "Sorry it's not much." And among those comments, you see familiar names, your coworker, your neighbor, your niece. At that moment, your inner critic falls completely silent. If they already donated, must be legit, right? But if you stop and look closer, the picture sometimes starts falling apart. Many such accounts have no life beyond suffering. No photos from before the illness, no friends, no old posts about school, work, hobbies. Profile created a few months ago, first post immediately about diagnosis and fundraising. When asked to show documents, the admin gets irritated or deflects. What, you think I'm profiting from this? It feels scary, awkward, inhumane to keep asking questions when they're showing you a child with tubes. And that awkwardness is the entire scheme. You feel like you're invading someone's pain if you want to verify whether it's actually real. Here's the paradox. Victims aren't the wealthy. Very often, targets of these fundraisers are people living modestly themselves. A retiree saving $100 a month for her safety net. A family perpetually balancing between loans and utilities. Someone who recently dealt with a loved one's illness and understands all too well what expensive medicine means. They don't donate from abundance, they literally tear it from themselves. The twisted truth is, scammers make more from charity funds off of modest earners than the rich. People with smaller incomes are easier to guilt into sharing their last dollar, yet they're less likely to investigate or file complaints. Quietly donated, quietly regretted, quietly forgot, until next time. Add to this peer pressure. When another fundraiser gets dropped in the family chat with, "I already helped, join in," refusing becomes almost impossible. You're not just saying no to abstract charity, you're seemingly arguing with loved ones. "I don't believe what you believe," especially when topped with, "It's totally legit, well-known fund," though in reality, none of the sharers may even know what nonprofit financial reports are or where they should be posted. Once someone said "definitely verified," the phrase takes on a life of its own, hopping from chat to chat. The cruelest part, modern money moves at the speed of thought. Before, to donate, you at least had to walk to a bank, fill in details, sign something. Between decision and transfer was time for doubts to creep in. Now it's one thumb swipe. You're on the bus, in line, in your kitchen, you see a story, tap the button, confirm, and boom, money's gone forever. No pause, no chance to sleep on it, no opportunity to ask someone nearby, "Hey, doesn't this seem weird to you?" The less friction between emotion and action, the easier to catch you in that moment when your brain's still taking a breath to ask the first uncomfortable question. That's why these stories hurt not just your wallet, but your head. After one solid scam, people start viewing all charity as a potential trap. Donation box at the register? Already suspicious. Street musician with a sign? Probably an actor. Fund with real reports and audits? Yeah, right. Sure, they'll tell me how they help. Everyone suffers. You, because you live feeling the world's full of crooks, and those genuinely needing help because money and attention stop reaching them. So we've established one important thing. The problem isn't that you want to help. The problem is too many people learn to profit from that willingness, hiding behind beautiful words and tragic photos. So the task isn't lock your wallet forever. It's learning to switch on a little fraud detector in your head before hitting that send button. And fortunately, you don't need to be a lawyer, accountant, or IT expert. Just a few simple habits that'll become automatic over time. First habit, always step back from the picture and return to dry facts. Not poor child, not dog with bandaged paw, not mother's tears. 3 questions. Who's collecting money? What exactly for? And where does it go? If the text has only emotions and 0 clear answers, that's already a red flag. Real charities always identify themselves fully. Legal name, registration number, tax ID, at least a link to their official site or government registry listing. Scammers don't want to expose unnecessary data. They maximize vague wording. "We're a team of volunteers. Our initiative. We are regular people." Once you see lots of "we" without specifics, mentally raise your first yellow flag. Second habit, don't trust screenshots and forwarded images without source verification. Any urgent, repost, verified fund story needs to be traced back to the original. Don't be lazy. Click the author's name, visit the page, see who this even is. Is this a real person with actual life, friends, photos spanning years, posts about more than just fundraisers? Or an account created 2 months ago with a dozen identical posts and nothing else? If it's supposedly a charity, is there a website link, and on that site, sections with reports, documents, news? Scam pages often resemble theater props. Pretty from the front, but take one step sideways and you hit bare plywood walls. Third habit, always separate personal fundraisers from established organizations. Personal fundraiser means money goes directly to someone's card or account. Wife's card, mom's wallet, phone number for transfer. Here, responsibility falls entirely on you. You're trusting a specific person you've likely never met. Not always bad. Sometimes real people collect this way for treatment or surgery. But then many investigation is mandatory. Who's behind this? Are there supporting documents? Are there connections to real people you know? A fund is a legal entity with reporting, charter, audits, where money formally belongs not to Aunt Sue, but to an organization you can legally hold accountable. If you're facing a fund, but money somehow still goes to some individual's personal card, that's suspicious at minimum. Fourth habit, verify organizations through official traces. Even without experience or desire to dig through databases, there's a minimum verification level anyone can handle. Type the organization's full name into search and look not just at their own site, but everything written about them. News, reviews, mentions on other resources. Are they listed in registered nonprofit directories? Do media mention them in connection with actual projects, not just their own press releases? If it's an international organization, are they in charity catalogs, in regulatory body reports? If search only returns the fund and weird mirror sites, then nothing, such silence around a genuinely operating structure almost never happens. Fifth habit, look for numbers, not just stories. Real charity can always show what specifically was accomplished with donations. How much collected, how much spent, how many people or animals actually received help. Could be annual reports, posts with expense breakdowns, tables, charts, whatever, but always with numbers and dates. Scam and gray area schemes hate precision. They always have many caring people, thousands of saved lives, huge number of projects. But as soon as you ask, exactly how much collected last month, how much went to treatment, how much to administration, response is either silence or aggression. What, you don't trust us? Remember this simple rule. Those working honestly with money aren't afraid of reporting questions. Sixth habit, pay attention to how they pressure you. Any charity built on screaming, "If you don't donate right now, you're a terrible person," is already suspect. Yes, real funds sometimes use emotional stories too. They also need to survive and raise funds. But there's a chasm between, "Look at this tragedy, here's how we help, join if you want," and "If you don't send $50 right now, you're a heartless monster." Real volunteers respect boundaries and choice. Scammers don't need your freedom. They need to trigger automatic shame mode so you send money just to make them stop. Seventh habit, agree with yourself in advance that you have the right to say, "I need time to think." Doesn't matter if it's a chat, phone call, street volunteer, or friend hotly insisting it's totally legit. In any charitable situation, you always have the right to pause, close the tab, save the details, and return tomorrow. Real tragedy won't disappear in one evening, but your sense of control and peace in that moment is priceless. If someone starts getting nervous, accusatory, or pushy when you simply want to verify information, that's a very loud alarm bell, better heard before transfer than after. Eighth habit, don't fear asking uncomfortable questions. We're taught from childhood, don't be nosy, don't pry into others' wallets, don't doubt when someone's crying. Those who build businesses on performative pity actively exploit this. Actually, asking questions isn't rude. It's the only way to separate genuine need from theater. You have the right to ask, where can I see the organization's charter? What's the legal entity name? Who's on the board of trustees? How do you select beneficiaries? Are there acceptance reports for aid? You have the right to request a donation agreement, or at least a receipt. You have the right not to transfer money until you get answers that satisfy you. And if calm questions get met with, "Doesn't your conscience let you just help?" that's good reason to keep both conscience and money. Ninth habit, build your personal trust portfolio. Instead of reacting to random posts and messages every time, choose for yourself several organizations you consciously trust. Spend one evening verifying them. Read reports, learn how they work, how they treat beneficiaries, what their principles are. Maybe it's a fund helping children with a specific diagnosis, or a shelter in your city, or an organization working with elderly people. When you have your verified addresses, you're less dependent on whatever suddenly went viral in messengers today. Someone sent a new fundraiser? You can tell yourself, "Right now, I'm not sure, but I already trust these two funds. Better send it there." 10th habit, don't turn off your heart even when you turn on your brain. Yes, the world got more complicated, and yes, now on every corner stand those pretending to be kind for their own profit. But the answer isn't to become a cold wall. The answer is learning to help in a way that won't leave you ashamed, neither before yourself nor before those whose lives you genuinely wanted to ease. Every time you ask an extra question, do a little investigation, refuse to send money where everything hangs only on tears and pretty words, you're not betraying kindness, you're protecting it. And if you realize you once failed for a fake fundraiser, don't turn that experience into a scar. Instead of, "I'll never help anyone again," try telling yourself, "Now I know what it looked like from inside, and I can use that experience to spot the fake earlier next time." Share your story with loved ones, discuss these simple habits, agree on family rules, whom you donate to, how you choose, what you verify. That way, one unpleasant episode from your life transforms not into a wound to hide, but into a vaccine that helps you and those around you avoid catching the same scam again. When you have such anchor points in your head, any new urgently donate verified fund message stops being a button that automatically triggers transfer. It becomes just an invitation to think, verify, ask questions. Then you decide, calmly, consciously, without the feeling of being manipulated. And at that moment, your kindness finally stops being a free resource for scammers and becomes what it should be, a force that changes lives of those who genuinely need help.